How many times on this show, though, have we said these two things? One, it's a simple game, this baloncesto. And all you need to know is if you gave me one stat at the end of a game, I could tell you who wins 95% of these. And that's three-point shooting. Boston, 19 of 45, 42.2%. Miami, 8 of 32 from 25%. Now, if you can tell me that's going to happen the next three games, okay, then Boston will win this series.
This is that game.
This was that game.
This is that game that we always talk about and you always talk about personified, where it is.
Yep.
Those,
pretty simple.
If those are evened out or reversed, this is a completely different ball game. Completely different ball game.
Yeah. But, it was, let's give Boston some credit. It was by design, right? They're just trying to hoist up as many threes as possible. And at that point, they're hoping it just becomes, ready for this, a numbers game. And that a high percentage of them sink in or a high enough percentage. By the way, that 19 of 45 versus 8 of 32, that's a 33-point difference in scoring from behind the arc. By the way, Celtics were great on defense. They were number 2 in defensive efficiency during the season. They blocked 8 shots. They got 8 steals. So then we get back to the point from yesterday when Drew Dinsick was on, and Drew Dinsick was advocating, take the Celtics to win this series because at 7-1, or he got it, I think, at 8-1, it's the number, right? He believes that is still a good number, or believed at that time that was a good number to play. Some people even took it further and probably took the Celtics to win the NBA Finals, right?
JVT did that. Yeah,
double that.
He took it further. I think he grabbed 15-1 on them to win the Finals.
I'm just going to go back to so there's the 3-point that we just made, but I'm just going to go back to what I said to Drew yesterday, which is any team that had home court advantage prior to a best of 7 that was down 3-0 and manages to grab game 4, you could have the same commentary about. You could say, well, then they get game 5 at home. They'll be favored. They'll get game 7 at home if necessary. They'll be favored. And then it's really the sphincter game of game 6, right? That's a blanket statement you can make about any team that would have been in this situation. And so then I would argue on top of that, I'm like, and so then you have to make the assessment, are the Celtics the team and are the Heat the team that this is going to happen, that history is going to be made for the first time in 151 3-0 deficits in the history of the NBA. Will the 151st be the one that gets there? Remember, it was the Red Sox, again, back in 2004, who did it for the first time against the Yankees. And oh, how glorious that was. And I would argue, now here's where it's like for new bettors, this is where we have to sort of have this conversation. Both of these things are true. I would argue that this is not the combination of teams that will get this done. I think the Celtics are way too schizophrenic. I think they lack the sort of constant attention to detail that can get this done for them over 4 games. And so I wouldn't make the bet, and I didn't make the bet of the Celtics. By the way, I do have the Heat plus 199 after game 1 and all that, so full disclosure. Does that make what Drew said yesterday, which is a segment I ended by saying, I respect it. Does that make what he says wrong? No, absolutely not. It's just that he made a calculated decision that I'm going to play that number because I believe from a betting standpoint. By the way, he can work with that. He could take the Heat plus the points in Game 5. There's all kinds of hedging ways you can do it if the Celtics can get past sort of, even beyond that Game 5. So both things are true. Like, I can respect the bet, but I'm just not going to make it myself because I don't think it ultimately wins, and I don't want to have to mess around with it based on the wins, based on the bets I already have in pocket as well.
Yeah, he's betting it based off of a price and what his percentage chance of what he thinks that's going to happen, but it still has to happen. It still has to happen. So it's look, I understand why the bet was why he made that bet, and I think I'm with you. It's not, I think everybody knows my opinion on what the Heat has been most of the past couple months. For me, it's more of what you said about Boston. I don't trust that they're mentally strong enough to get through 3 more games of this.
You dove in on the Celtics. You're one of these people who grabbed the Celtics to win this series before game number 4, yes?
I took them plus 800 to win the series, and I took Tatum. I thought Tatum was probably the better bet, 12-1 to win Conference Finals MVP. Now he's plus 240 to win Conference Finals MVP. So I'm in a position now where do I start taking Miami plus the points? Do I just lay it with the Heat? I don't know what I'm going to do. If I had nothing in pocket, I'd probably take the 7.5 tomorrow just because. I don't know. I mean, you use the word schizophrenic. Boston's so schizophrenic. I don't know how you're laying 7.5, 8 points. It's up to 8 some places. I don't know how you're laying 8 with this Boston team. And You mentioned it. It's the 3-point variance. It's just, how many of these 10 for 29s, 10 for 35s, 11 for 42s Boston's had. All you need is one more where they have a bad one and Miami has a good one and you're going home. But, 5's at home, 7's at home. I really think Game 6 is going to be the series. I don't know. And this, Boston's home and they're favored. That hasn't meant a whole hell of a lot for Boston. And really these two teams, I think 8 of the past 9 games between these two teams in the playoffs, the winner's been the road team. So home court doesn't mean a lot. So we'll lean towards taking the 7.5. I kind of think Boston does it though. I don't know why. I just think there's a reason Cinderella doesn't usually win, whether it's college basketball and George Mason, Florida Atlantic. We don't see Cinderella in the NBA. I mean, there is a reason that usually doesn't happen. I know Spoelstra versus Missoula. I understand all that, but this is still a good Boston team. They were second in 3-point make, second in effective field goal percentage, second in defense. This is still a good team. Like, would I be shocked if Miami won? But I kind of think Boston gets it done. I do think the bet for tomorrow, and this I think is going a little under the radar. Gabe Vincent had a nasty ankle roll.
Yes.
He has been huge for them. So maybe Butler plays point guard. I would go over 5.5 assists for Butler. I think Butler will play more point guard. I don't think Lowry at his age, I don't think he can handle the minutes load. So eventually you run out of bodies here. If Vincent can't go or be effective, eventually you're just going to run out of bodies. So I think Boston gets it done.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.